Hello, my name is Nicholas Matthews. I am a full-time instructor of speech and forensics here at Cerritos College in Norwalk, California. I've been very fortunate enough to have this position for the last 2 years. So as part of my job, I teach speech communication classes like public speaking and argumentation and debate. And I'm also one of the coaches for the speech and debate team here on campus. So I'm very excited to have a chance to talk with you about CART today.
Excellent. Thank you, Professor Matthews. I'd like to ask you the first question. Do many people ask you about CART?
Yes, they do. So I use CART as an accommodation for my instruction in the classroom. So in particular, I teach classes of between 25, 30 students usually. And so one of the ways in which I enhance my communication with my students is by using CART.
Right.
So I teach classes typically of 25 to 30 students, and these are fairly large classrooms. And so because I have a hearing impairment, I often have difficulty hearing students in the back of the classroom who are trying to ask questions. Lots of my assignments are oral in nature as well. So if I have soft-spoken students, then really using CART is the only way that I can assess those students and communicate with them effectively. And so at the very beginning of all my classes, on the first day of class, when I'm introducing the syllabus, I have a line in my syllabus in which I explain that I use CART as an accommodation, because certainly when students walk in, they're probably wondering who the heck are these, two people sitting at the front of the classroom typing everything that's being said are. So I kind of like to just give a short explanation of who my real-time captionists are and what they're doing. And I've also found that many of my students are actually quite interested in what my CART providers are and what their job is like. So they often ask them themselves, and just because they're curious and they want to get a sense of what that kind of work is like.
Okay. Also, how do you explain what a CART captioner is and what they do?
So the way that I explain it is a CART provider essentially takes what is being said and transcribes it in real time so that I can read what is being written. So it is essentially an alternative way for me to understand what other people are saying. So it's really imperative as someone with a hearing impairment that I be able to understand other people, even if I might miss what they say orally. And so CART is the method by which I'm able to do that.
Okay. If CART did not exist, what impact do you feel this would have on your progress in school or in your career?
So quite frankly, I don't think I could do my job without CART. I mean, it would be very, very, very difficult for me to have conversations with students, or to lead classroom discussion with students, or to answer student questions, or to understand students who are giving speeches or other forms of oral communication assignments. So consequently, I feel pretty confident that if it wasn't for these accommodations, there is no way I could do my job effectively. And certainly I would also say that because I relied on CART ever since I was first an undergraduate in school, that academically speaking, my performance probably would not have been as good as it was because of the fact that CART has enabled me to be able to supplement my hearing far beyond what I would be able to do without it.
Good, okay. What experience, Professor, have you had with venues not offering CART?
So I typically don't go to musicals or plays or other events that are very, very intensive in terms of oral communication, but which may not provide CART because it's very difficult for me to understand or even follow what's going on. So for me, it would be kind of like trying to watch a movie in which there are no subtitles turned on, which for a hard of hearing person can be very difficult. So consequently, for venues that don't have CART, they tend to be very, very inaccessible to people with hearing loss. So there have been some venues that making strides on this. So for example, in Sacramento, the King's New Arena, the Golden One Center, actually has a CART provider for the whole arena that types up everything the public address speaker is saying on a screen, which is really cool. But I'd say probably most sports arenas, most similar venues don't have that. And that's a real shame because that is a big barrier to accessibility for hard of hearing spectators.
Awesome. You mentioned before the interview, I think I heard you say you're a Dodger fan?
I'm a what?
A Dodger fan? Oh,
The
no.
opposite.
Opposite.
A Giants fan.
Oh, a Giants
Yeah.
fan. When you go to the games, are there any accommodations for the deaf and hard of hearing?
I have no idea because I haven't been
Okay.
recently.
Okay.
So the only venue I'm familiar with is the NBA arena in Sacramento.
Oh, okay. Very good. Thank you so much for your time this
You're welcome.
afternoon.
I'm happy to share.
Thank you.
Cool.